Thank you. Okay, moving on to standards and assessment.
Okay, are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, not that it's a competition, but we pared ours down to one motion for the board. So we are going to do.
I think you got like a couple things. Like you got some housekeeping and not housekeeping, but amendments.
Yeah,
so.
just one
Let's just
motion.
take one at a time.
Totally.
Okay.
Just identify yourself to the public.
Oh, will you identify yourself to the public? This is
Jenny Gravitt. Okay, so we have item number 15.3, the core guide development process. And the motion for the board is committee moves that the board approve the core guide development process draft 6, but I would like to make an amendment.
okay, but it came out of your
Yes.
committee, so I need to read what came out of your committee, and then
I'm just letting you know.
allow you to make an amendment. Okay. So the motion that came out of committee before the board, so this is the motion that's before the board, is that the board approve the core guide development process draft 6. Okay. So now is your time as chair of law and licensing to amend that motion.
Okay, well, as chair of standards and assessment, I just want to amend it.
Standard assessment. I don't know where that came from. Does it feel like a long day for you?
It's been, I will tell you as a teacher, it has been a long couple of weeks. I just want to amend it to draft number 7. Draft number 7 doesn't do anything substantive. It just has some spacing changes, some bullet changes, but nothing else. Just cleans it up.
Okay. I need to do a formal amendment.
You should give the amendment.
Okay, so the amendment is to replace draft 6 with draft 7.
That is correct.
Okay. Discussion to the amendment. Seeing none, let's vote on the amendment. The amendment is to replace draft 6 with draft 7. We'll start with member Belknap.
Aye.
Member Bolter.
Aye.
Member Cannon.
Aye.
Vice Chair Cummins. Member Davis.
Aye.
Member Earl.
Aye.
Member Gravitt.
Aye.
Member Hanson.
Aye.
The not to be forgotten board member Mike Haynes.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay. Board member Huntsman's and I. Board member Lear.
Aye.
Member Marsh.
Aye.
Member Thorpe.
Aye.
Voting is unanimous. Motion carries forward. Okay. Now, hang on, we've got.
Everything else was
Okay.
referred to consent
Okay,
calendar.
board member Earl.
Yes, I would like to make a, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the board directs staff to remove the current core guides from the USB website by March 25th, which gives them a week. And as the development process for new core guides is completed, the new guides be placed immediately on the website for usage.
Is there a second? We have a,
I'll second.
is that board member Hanson? Is that was the second? Did
Yes.
you want to speak to your motion? Board member Earl?
Yes, sorry. Just that I just think that we need to clean these up more. And I think that bringing them down and being able to tidying them up, the resources that we need are still located on the tab right next to the core guides. I'm anxious for us to get these looking really good. So I think it would be appropriate to take them down perfect time period as we're making this transition to over the next several months.
Okay, Board Member Gravitt?
I just want to speak against this motion for a couple of reasons. But first, I have a clarifying question. May I ask that of Board Member Earl?
Yes,
Board Member Earl, is
So
this
the-
just for health?
Go ahead.
Is this just for health? Is it for science? Is it for math? Can you clarify that for me?
Thank you. I should have clarified, just for the health standards,
Okay.
health core guides.
May I continue to speak,
Go ahead.
Chair?
okay, hang on one sec. So this is for the health core guide, so, okay, I'm gonna just make sure. And who seconded, is the second still good? Board Member Hanson?
Yeah.
Okay, please continue.
I just want to speak against this emotion, especially because I think we have to remember that teachers work for these, and we can remove them in the summer, and then we have the time to get them. I think if you take them off without warning or replacement, it's very disrespectful to teachers. And I just think the right thing to do is leave them up for the rest of the school year, because especially at this time, teachers are using them, and then we can address them during the summer. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Cannon?
I actually unclicked mine because Jenny more or less answered my question. My concern was that we take something away from teachers that they might be using at this point in time. I think I might like the motion better if it said we were to take them down at the end of this school year and then put up the new health core guides as they are approved for use. But that's just a suggestion.
Okay, Board Member Lear?
I'm concerned, and this time Jenny caught me by surprise, which proves that it does happen to every board member. But my concern would be, this is the time unexpectedly when teachers need all possible resources, every single item that is available to them as they create online programs and more creative programs for students to learn. So I would hate to do anything that detracted from the resources that every teacher needs. And I'm sure that might be the case. I would be possibly in favor of what Janet just recommended. It seems like taking any resources away from teachers would be counterproductive for everyone.
Okay. So right now, the superintendent who has oversight over all that, there's the law and everything else, has that power and authority. And the way I see this is that we're stepping in on this and given a stern, strong direction to take them down. That's why I'm seeing this motion being presented. Any other questions or comments before we vote?
So there's hands raised, so
This is regarding this motion. So who's next?
I don't.
Everyone, a lot of people left their hands
Can
up.
when you get just a minute, can I do a finish up?
Board Member Earl?
So just a couple things. First of all, yes? We
Yes,
won't
go ahead.
implement these until fall. Some teachers implement it this year, but this will not have a full rollout till fall. The other thing is that the idea that we're leaving them without resources is simply not true. We have a whole listing of resources right next to where the core guides are currently at. So I would encourage us to vote in order to clean this up and get these looking the way we'd like them to look, the way we voted on, after they've gone through a vetting process. So thank you.
Board Member Gravitt?
I just also want to add that in order to make these changes that we're talking about, we need a committee of teachers. And I will tell you, now is not the time to get a committee of teachers together. We are pretty overwhelmed in spite of not having students. We do have students, and not a good time to get a committee of teachers together to make those changes that are necessary.
Board Member Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. I think most of the controversy on the health core guides has been over some of the linked materials. So I'll make a motion to amend Board Member Earl's motion to just pull down the links immediately, leave the rest of the material up.
I'll second that.
Okay, just one sec. So you're making a, remember Hanson, you're making a motion to amend the motion to, so that the board will direct staff to remove the current links to the health core guides, and everything else stays the same.
It's on the core guide.
Yeah, the links on the core guide. Is that correct? Did I state that? What your
That's correct.
what
The
your
rest of the
amendment
material
is?
stays in place. Yes, the rest of the material will stay in place, just the links would be
Is that
pulled.
yeah. You're a little bit digital and broke up, but I think that was a yes. Is there a second to the amendment?
Yes, I did. I'll second.
I'll second. Oh,
Okay, plenty of second. Any more discussion to the amendment?
I do.
Davis there.
Board Member Davis?
So the way I'm understanding the amendment is that everything that's been authored by USBE staff or put there would stay the same. Any link that goes to an outside entity would be removed. Is that correct? Until it goes through the vetting process, and all of it would go through the vetting process anyway, but the links would be removed until it goes through the vetting process. Is that correct?
That's the intention of my motion.
Yes, the way the motion is stated is that the links on the health core guides would be removed based if this amendment passes and the motion passes. Okay, so we're just going to triple check. We still have a lot of hands up on this, so we're just going to review it one more time. Board Member Lear?
I have a question that's directed maybe to the chair, maybe to Chair Gravitt, I'm not sure. But the Chair Huntsman said that this, because this is typically the superintendent's responsibility, if I'm correct, then this direction would be also sort of meddling's not quite the right word, also giving her direction, additional direction, which is atypical. Is that correct?
That is typical. I'll respond to that. That is in the superintendent's duties and operations, and this will be giving her direct,
Micromanaging a bit.
by motion direction. Will be
Okay, I appreciate that clarification.
given.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Board Member Earl?
Yes. Are you,
Your hand is up.
Your,
I have
your
my
hand
hand
is
up?
still up on.
Oh,
Okay, Board
I
Member Gravitt, is
apologize.
your hand still up, or are we? Okay,
Um,
I'm gonna look one more time, make sure we have our, Board Member Gravitt, did you have something to say?
yeah, I just clarifying. My understanding is the links have already been removed from health.
Okay. Maybe
So-
if that's your intention, is there anyone from staff that can say whether or not those links have been removed or not?
This is Patty Norman. I just got clarification on the links. So all of the links have been removed except for those that didn't. So it's been left the same. So there are links on there, and all links that did not meet the vetting process were removed accordingly. So yes, there are links on there right now.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Oh, I think so. I don't know if it was mine or not. Somebody's.
Well, that was Board Member Gravitt, so.
Oh, thanks, Jenny.
Okay. The amendment
Wait,
to the motion
I'm still in line.
is.
I have a question also.
Oh, well, Board Member Bolter.
Yes, I just wanted a clarification from what Patty Norman said. She said that some of the links have been removed, but some went back on after they've been vetted, but we just barely approved a process. So I just want clarification on that.
This is Patty Norman. Okay.
Respond.
Yes, so we're on version, I think, is it 7 in the vetting process? So times throughout, there were some that were immediately taken down due to public feedback when we had a hearing. And so there have been revisions along the way, and then there was a hard stop on the revision of doing anything with them until we got further direction from the board. And so that's what we've been waiting on to do any further, listening to the board as a whole and not trying to disaggregate it according to individual comments or board members, so that we get clear direction from the entire board.
Okay, thank you.
So Board Member Davis?
Yeah, so my question is, I guess, maybe I misunderstood. I did not know that these links had already gone through a vetting process. Have these, all the materials that are on the core guides gone through our approved vetting process, or at least one similar to it?
Chair Huntsman?
Yes.
Sure.
Patty Norman, are you gonna?
Yes,
Is that
I'm
you?
going to ask that Jody Parker, who is on, can address that question.
Okay, when staff comes on with, they'll just state your name. Not everyone's familiar with your voices, name and title. So yes, Patty Norman. Yes, you
Hi,
can.
can you hear me? This is
Before
Jody Parker.
Just let me just throw something out really fast. As this has been up for attention, a lot of concerns has been talked about a little bit in our board meetings and other direct concerns of the superintendent. I think on the health core guides, they've been looked at it in a little different sequence of what the normal core guides are going through. So I know there's been an evolution of things happening on that website. I can't speak to all of them, but I know there's been some changes and based on inputs, and there will always be changes based on inputs, but this is what I know I think it's important for us to know this has been kind of moved a little bit to the front burner as people have had concerns. So Patty Norman, do you want to introduce who you have with and to answer the one question?
Yes, this is Jody Parker, and she is the specialist over this area, and then she's really been working with the teachers in developing these core guides. So she'll be speaking to the process that has occurred in the past up to this point.
Okay.
Hi, this is Jody Parker. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so in, I believe it was the November Standards and Assessment Committee meeting, staff was directed by the committee to take the health core guides through the checklist, and we would be kind of the pilot. So all of the core guide resources, links, the way that they're currently displayed on the website went through that checklist, and it went to each strand, went through a different committee. We did record all of the results. Anything that wasn't vetted or recommended was pulled. Everything else stayed on. We added some more description to help with that. And so the way that the core guides currently are on the website was vetted through the different committees, using the checklist that I believe is still in the process.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yes, follow up.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's helpful. So in the new process, I think there's an appeal piece, right? So if everything that is currently in the core guides has gone through a vetting process with the checklist, if there are some that people still have concerns about, should they go through that appeal process?
I can't answer that one. I would defer to either Patty or Norman or Jennifer Thronston. I can tell you that we are working towards taking all the links off, but there's a new piece that we didn't do, and that's the assessment exemplar. And I can't, health education won't be able to have that until we have teachers that can work on it. So if the board vote decides to remove the core guides, we just won't have them until August.
Can I ask another follow-up?
Is it pertaining to the motion, to the amendment, or are we?
To do what
solving
the information
that?
she
Are we asking? Okay, if it's, we need to stay lasered in on the proposed motion, which is to amend this, so yes, you can follow up with. a
I'm
question.
wondering if,
Like say in the content.
if you can just clarify, when you say you're working on removing the links, if all the links have gone through the vetting process, what links are we still removing?
May I speak to this, Chairman?
Yes, the current, the review, sorry, let me start over. The core guide process now, all of the items that should be on a core guide does not allow for links, so we won't have any hyperlinks at all on the new version once we can create those.
This is Patty Norman, and so to help answer that question, there's been created a new template of what a core guide looks like and what is on it that is totally different than what looked like in the past. It will not include any of those links that go out. If there's an assessment or anything on there, it will be right on the document itself without the external links. So that is a whole new process in moving forward with any new standards that are going to be created. And so we have some models of that staff is mocking up and creating. So that's what Joe was referring to.
And last question, what is that timeline?
Jody Parker again.
Okay, hang
in
on,
order
I'm
to,
not sure who asked, hey, hang on one sec. Who asked the last question? Is that Cindy or
Cindy Davis.
follow up? We're trying to track this and the public doesn't know who's asking what.
Sorry,
unless
I'll take
you-
my
you
hand off.
recognize. So is that board member Davis that had asked that this isn't an open discussion. These are questions and we'll try to get people on. So is that board member Davis?
Yes, and I'll be removing my hand.
Oh, so is that, well, there's other hands up too. So what was your last question? I'm trying to keep this so that the people that
It
don't
was just
understand.
the timeline.
Okay. And your question was what?
Just what the timeline was of that, what she said.
Okay, staff, will you please respond to board member Davis's question?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Jody Parker,
I'm going to go
Health
ahead
Education
and,
Specialist.
Jody, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask Director Thronson to respond to so that she can respond to it overarching within what's happening.
Yep.
So Director Thronson,
Great,
is that okay?
thank you.
So I want to make sure, I'm trying to find out how a bunch of these questions are relevant to the proposed amendment to the original motion, and we're getting down into the operations. So I'm wanting to keep this in the right context to that. So while somebody's going to get that answer, because we're kind of, time's important, or are we ready to answer it? Because
Can
there's
we
more
have the
board
question
members have questions.
Can we have the question repeated for Director Thronson?
Board member Davis, do you want to restate your question? I think your question was on the timeline when that's going to come back up. And I thought somebody thought it was August. I don't,
Correct.
I've lost track.
Yeah, so Jennifer Thronson, Director of Teaching and Learning. Timeline-wise, our anticipated hope is August, as we have to convene some teacher groups to help us build out the other components of the newest model of it's in the draft 7 that you have reviewed, and that involves no links, but the assessment exemplars. And the reason that all the links currently have been reviewed is the checklist was already approved in kind of all these iterations. It was a lot of the other components, plus staff was charged with reviewing those links, given we hadn't taken links off the table as we have now in the current draft. And so the current links have been reviewed, they meet the checklist requirements. If there are concerns, we could go through that step 5, which is concerns to be brought to the committee for review and consideration. So there's a couple different options here. We can leave them on. If people have concerns, those can come to committee over the next few months while we start to finalize the new version of the core guides based on this policy.
Okay. Board Member Marsh.
I would probably vote against either one of these because one of the links that we had talked about in our committee was the fact that they were using the CDC, and I think pulling something like that away from students the last 2 or 3 months of school in the crisis we're in would be kind of an in-service or disservice, I mean, to them to do that. I think we need to let the process go through its pace instead of trying to speed it up and allow them to finish the year, go through it through the summer, and fire up with the way that we have it for the new school year.
Board Member Hanson.
Just a question for staff. With regard to these running through the process, do we then have the sign-off sheets for each of the linked resources to show, who's signed off on each of these?
We do. Jody's been documenting those and having signatures and approvals. We do have that evidence. It is,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Board Member Earl.
Yeah, just a couple things. Mark Marsh just referred to the lack of resources, which is not true. The CDC, we have all those resources listed next to the core guides, so they would not be without resources, and most of those resources are already listed on the core guide. So our teachers would not be left without adequate health resources. Additionally, I would like to see those items as well that have already gone through vetting. I know the attachments here, there's a public feedback health sample that has some examples, but none of those, that's very minimal. So if there is such, well, wherever that is, I would appreciate it if you could send that on to me. I'd like to evaluate it, please.
Okay, that's an individual request. It's not a board request that's listed in any motion. And so that's what that would be. Board Member Bolter.
Yes, I've got a question. So when will the core guides be released for the public for the 30-day review period? Step 4.
Board members, I think these are really great questions, but are these questions of when these will be released? Are these to help us make a decision whether or not we
Well, I'm just wondering, because everything seems so convoluted because we put everything on there before creating a process, before having any type of vetting. And then we created a process, but everything's still on there. And it would seem to clean everything up, to take it off, vet it, put it through the 30-day public period. I guess that's my point, is there's so much, we're out of what we just passed for the core guide development process. We're not even doing that with the health standards, with the health link.
So as your chair, I've got to keep everything focused on the motion that's before us. And the proposed amendment that's before us is to remove the links. Is that the board directs staff to remove the current links on health core guides, and then it continues on. So it's to add, to remove the links on health. We're adding that, links on health core guides. That's the amendment that's before us. And I'm trying to keep everything in the context of that. And now we're kind of getting way into the process of where things will be. So I'm just trying to keep everything relevant to the proposed motion. So I want to restate the amendment before the motion, and that is that the board directs staff to remove the current links on health core guides. And just insert where it says core after current to say links on health before the core. So that's the motion, that's the amendment to the motion that's before the board. We need to probably keep moving on that. Board Member Gravitt.
I just wanted to respond to I just wanted to respond to the idea that the CDC website would stay. I want to remind the board of what a resource definition is, and a resource definition is websites, books, articles, links. So if we are removing resources or links, we are removing things like the CDC. So I just wanted to clarify that. When you remove links, you do remove CDC, etc. Thank you.
Board Member Marsh.
I call for the question.
Okay. Second. Have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's vote. Chair Belknap,
Aye.
did I say chair? I think I'm in finance, so Member Bolter,
I thought I got moved up for just a second.
there you go. Member
No.
Bolter,
No, and the resources would still be there.
This is to call the question.
this is called to question.
No,
This is end in debate. Board Member Bolter, to end debate or your no?
right, to end debate, no.
Okay, Member Cannon,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cummins,
Yes.
Member Davis,
Yes.
Member Earl,
Yes.
Member Gravitt,
Yes.
Member Gravitt. Was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Member Hanson,
Yes.
not to forget Member Mike Haynes.
Yes.
Member Huntsman's a yes. Member Lear, Member Lear,
Oh, yes.
Member Marsh,
Yes.
Member Thorpe.
Yes.
Motion passes. You have to let them know.
Yeah.
Okay, the amendment that's before the board is to amend the motion to insert links on health between the part that says board, that the board directs staff to remove the current, then it would say links on health core guides from, and then it continues on. So let's vote on the amendment. Board Member Belknap,
Yes.
Member Bolter,
Yes,
Member Cannon,
No.
Vice Chair Cummins,
Yes.
Member Davis,
Yes.
Member Earl,
Yes.
Member Gravitt,
No.
Member Hanson,
Yes.
Member Haynes,
Yes.
Member Lear,
No.
Member Marsh,
No.
Member Thorpe,
No.
and I'm a no. So that's 7 yeses. So the proposed amendment fails. So the motion before the board is the board directs staff to remove the current core guides from the USBE website by March 25th. And as a development process for new core guides is completed, the new guides be replaced immediately on the website.
Health was included in.
Yeah, and health was included, so that's right. So let me restate it. That the board directs staff to remove the current health core guides from the USBE website by March 25th. And as a development process for the new core guides is completed, the new guides be placed immediately on the website. That's a motion before the board. Board Member Bolter.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was on.
Okay. Board Member Earl.
Yes, I want to make sure there's a clarification here. The resources right next to Utah Core Standards, if you go to your website, is resources. This is not an attachment to the core guides. There's Botvinne Life Skills, Health and Wellness, My Plate, CDC Healthy Schools, Re-Education. Anyways, I'm not going to go down all those. Those resources are linked there. They are not attached to the core guides. So I just want to make sure that's clear because it seems like there's some miscommunication and misunderstanding to that. That is not what we're referring to. Specifically, it's the core guides. So thank you.
Okay, Board Member Gravitt.
No.
Well,
Did you in this?
I think your hand was still raised on the computer.
Oh.
So I want to restate the motion that was before the board. And we're going to vote on it. So the motion before the board is that the board directs staff to remove the current health core guides from the USBE website by March 25th. And as the development process for new core guides is completed, the new guides be replaced immediately on the website. Member Belknap.
Aye.
Okay, this is to remove the health core guides. Yeah, we're voting. So, are you- Board Member Belknap,
Aye.
Member Bolter,
Aye.
Member Cannon.
No.
That's a no. Vice Chair Cummins,
No.
Member Davis,
No.
Member Earl,
Yes.
Member Gravitt,
No.
Member Hanson,
Aye.
Member Haynes,
No.
Member Lear,
No.
Member Marsh,
No.
Member Thorpe,
No.
Member Huntsman's a no. Motion fails. Okay, board members, we are